Still though, going back to that Spectre pick that you did speak about, I mean, it's great with the Spirit Break, and the thing is as well, up against a Gyrocopter late game, the Spectre is just a powerhouse to go up against, and I'm kind of curious, does the Spectre beat out the Gyrocopter?
Team back.
If we're talking super late game. Because the Spec has felt a bit weak recently when we get to the late game.
Like, there are definitely ways to work around that Spectre. There are definitely ways to mitigate that dispersion damage coming out. Honestly, the Gyrocopter probably has the best, the better late game compared to Spec. If you're talking about, like, say, 50 minutes in, everyone's farmed up, they're even in net worth, I would give the slight edge to Gyrocopter simply because if all else fails, he can just dump his items and go for maybe a Divine Rapier and try to go that way. Spectre is somewhat manageable. You can just kind of break her to take away that dispersion, and suddenly a lot of her damage from just tanking up is kind of gone, and she really relies on that spread damage from her passive. So you do have a lot though. Like, the Gyrocopter can't simply go for that Divine as well because it's a bit of a risk. Spectre's not the greatest Divine carrier, although it is possible. But when it breaks down to it, even farm into the late game, I don't actually think it's down to that matchup. I think they're fairly even as cores. It really depends on the backup you have, because both sides, both heroes have ways of mitigating against each other. Really boils down to the rest of your draft. It's not on either hero towards the late game. I think they're fairly evenly matched in terms of power.
Fair enough. I suppose it will really depend on the draft that comes out after this final ban coming out from Reality Rift. Now, of course, we did see the IO ban coming out, which does make perfect sense when you've got a Gyrocopter up there already. Reality Rift, still heaps of reserve time for themselves, so they can take a bit of time for this. Really, AlphaX hashtag hasn't revealed too much with this draft yet. Quite hard to know what you're going for these bans, but generally speaking, just to get rid of those meta heroes right now, which we did see already, the Night Stalker getting taken out, Leshrac, the Tiny, all of that. Still RR. Taking about a minute reserve time so far. Generally speaking as well, the Spectre, like when you pick up a Spectre Spirit Breaker, it usually means you already have a game plan, so you may not actually need much reserve time for your next picks anyway. So that's perhaps why they're actually spending so much time on that ban, and they do get rid of the Omni Knight. It would have been rather annoying with the Gyrocopter anyway, that Heavenly Grace, the Purification Guardian Angel, just very hard to deal with.
My biggest question right now is what RR decides to pick as their second support. Spirit Breaker doesn't have too many options for you to really go with as a hard 5. I mean, you definitely want something a bit more sacrificial. But are they going to be looking for something that sustains your Spectre a bit more? Since the Spirit Breaker can be the aggressor for the most part, are they going to be looking for a POS 5 that can maybe apply some lane harass? Who's the laning partner of the Spectre? Spirit Breaker Spectre does not sound like a potent duo. They do pick up the Ancient Apparition. That does allow at least one support to harass safely away. And the AA does pump out a lot of damage early on. If you're going to run an aggro try as well, you can kind of chain stun someone, get the cold feet on, and have Spirit Breaker perhaps try to get a lucky dash. 17% is going to proc at some point, so you can keep someone in place for a pretty long time. Perhaps find a few early kills that way. Beyond that, I believe when it comes down to lane partners, Spectre's probably better off with the AA, although that synergy again isn't that strong. That's just down to Spectre not being the kind of core that looks for early kills, at least in the laning phase.
Well, as of now, John, they do have a global strategy going on. I love that. The old school global is here for Reality Rift. I wonder if they'll keep this up and go something crazy like a mid-Zeus. I mean, it's highly doubtful, but you never really know. But these lineups always excite me quite a bit. As you get the charge into the Horn to the Ice Blast, someone just ends up blowing up immediately. The AlphaX hashtag, they will remain pretty standard with their draft. They'll go for the Shadow Shaman, which we have seen being picked up quite a lot for them. Of course, just having the Hex Shackle and Serpent Wards is just super useful. Even the Aether Shock in the laning stage, it's a very powerful nuke to be up against.
Definitely is. I like this pickup from AlphaX hashtag. I think if you're going to be lane partnering your Gyrocopter with some Shadow Shaman is probably one of the best things. Definitely better than Undying. It gives you a good amount of control. If you catch someone out in a bad spot, you can just shackle them up, have the Rocket Barrage go in. All of that early damage from the Gyrocopter is maximized that way. You can get a good push going for yourself as well. And it's just solid enough with the Gyrocopter. That does allow the Undying to be partnered up in the offlane with something a bit more potent as well, which is really where that hero excels. So I like this pickup from AlphaX hashtag. Reality Rift with a Sand King does tie in and give them a bit more control. They were kind of lacking that. They didn't have the best hard stuns. They didn't have the best control in team fights, and the Sand King gives that to them in spades. So it's going to be a pretty potent team fight coming out from Reality Rift. I'd say the thing to watch out for is their Spectre and the Haunt timing. AlphaX hashtag with that Timbersaw, that's very untypical. We haven't seen much of this hero. I believe the last time we saw this hero ourselves in a game we casted was probably back when Genisperez was still playing with her first lineup.
I mean, it's an interesting pick to say the least. Great against the Spectre in the laning stage with that Timbersaw. The only thing is, they chose it into the AA, which, I mean, it is a bit of a counter with the Ice Blast. Still going to be a difficult target to go for in the Timber, but, I mean, Reality Rift, they must be okay with this. The problem still stands, though, where AlphaX hashtag, they are going to pretty much assumedly dominate that off lane, because it looks like a Timbersaw Undying lane up against the Spectre. And so their whole game plan here is just shut down the Spectre, and then everything else falls apart for the side of RR.
Yeah, it's a fair enough move to make. Again, AlphaX hashtag. Timbersaw does eat through Spectre quite a fair bit. You know, it takes away that strength, which Spectre really wants to have. The Undying does the same thing as well. So it does allow you to bully this hero very early on. It's going to be hard for our Spec to find that farm. And again, the laning partners that Spectre has aren't the most potent with her, but that's just down to Spectre herself not being the most potent laning partner. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not AlphaX hashtag runs that Timbersaw on the off, or if they opt to put it down mid perhaps for some reason. If the matchup down mid is going to be a bit strange, perhaps you can just throw that curveball out there, put the Timbersaw mid, get something else for the offlane. We have seen that happen a couple of times before. They do have a second pick here, I mean first pick in the last phase, so they're not going to have that surprise factor playing in for them.
Well, one more pick here for AlphaX hashtag. The Invoker ban and Pugnapan coming out. I don't really blame them for getting rid of that Invoker as Alacrity. Did play a fantastic Invoker yesterday. Thing was, though, it didn't really pan out for them in the end, but it is certainly a very threatening thing to be up against, as Puck is the final pickup. And we did say nothing to say, play Puck quite a bit. Some pretty nice plays as well coming out from him. Again, it didn't really end up resulting in victories, but I can't blame Alpha for just picking that up and having that great team fight with the Dream Coil. And so Reality Rift now, I'm starting to wonder about their draft, as it just looks like AlphaX hashtag is going to be able to fight so early on that I don't know if this global strategy they have going for themselves is really going to pan out.
They're really going to have to hold out until they hit pretty much all their level 6s. Perhaps the Spirit Breaker can afford to be shafted just a bit, but Spectre needs her 6, AA Sand King needs their 6. They're going to need some itemization as well, especially on that Spectre, of course, but the Sand King's going to need that Blink Up, perhaps one defensive item in the Vanguard or the Pipe Fist, depending on what your team needs. And then that's when you really start to build off. We've seen this countless of times where teams go for these kinds of lineups that require fast EXP, and it is a rough laning phase, but after a point they do start to come online, start forcing those fights. Reality Rift does close their draft out with a Templar Assassin, and I have to say I like that pickup. There's nothing in here that really burns through Refraction, perhaps besides the Timbersaw with Chakram. That could melt that quite fast, but it still gives you a pretty big window to blink out if you're in danger. The matchup against the Puck is a bit interesting though. It's going to be a bit hard for Alacrity to get anything in the first, let's say, 2 to 3 levels is going to be rough. But afterwards, he should be able to match up against Nothing to Say just fine. The magic damage coming out from that Puck is still something you can't underestimate. And again, that base damage is pretty darn good. The range is way better than TA's at level 1. So I can see nothing to say taking over that lane for a while. But Alacrity does have a bit better in terms of flash form. And again, once those levels come in, you do have some durability to play with.
It's going to be an interesting match, to say the least. I love the TA pick as well. I think it is going to help the cause. AlphaX hashtag, though, looking pretty strong regardless. This is going to be a somewhat of an explosive match with these two drafts. Will Luck have enough time to get that farm up and be the powerhouse the Spectre can be? And will Alacrity essentially give him enough space with that TA? Because the tempo really has to be set by him. Will AlphaX hashtag pick up their first win of the close qualifiers? I suppose with this draft, I mean, it looks like this could be it. It does seem like there's a lot of pressure on Nothing to Say to try and shut down this TA as well, but it's a TA after all. Like, it's very rare they lose the lane. So we'll find out very soon.
I mean, even if Alacrity does lose that lane, they can play catch-up in the jungle quite fine. You're not really seeing too many heroes here that will need as much jungle farm. KYXY probably will. But he's a Sand King, of course. He can have a great laning presence, just clear out the lanes instead quite safely. Just invest in a couple of sentry wards to make that happen. The biggest thing on my mind is still that Undying pickup from AlphaX hashtag, just because we really haven't seen it success. Winter is playing the hero this time as the hard 5, and as a hard 5, you really don't tend to get too much EXP. It's a bit worrying for me. I tend to see Undying is a bit more of a greedy support, in the sense that he really needs that early XP. He needs to soak in lane. He can't afford to really go away, stay stuck at level 2, because he's just ineffective when the enemies are level 4, and he's got that deficit going. So it's going to be interesting to see how Winter does run around this lane. He is up with Miracle, so that's going to be a lane partnership that should work out. I mean, both these heroes do play aggressive early on. Dropping people down with that decay should allow Miracle to really maximize his early damage, harass out KYXY and Hustler.
Yep, certainly. So RR going to show up in the bot lane, though they've got to be very careful. AXH, they are on the high ground waiting, and there is kill potential here for that first blood, especially once you've got an Undying there.
30 seconds to battle.
Of course, the homing missile already being skilled up, so it looks like AXH have made the decision. They are going to try for this FB. So they have been kind of spotted out with that Observer Ward, which is a bit unfortunate for AXH. I'm sure they saw this coming regardless. Nothing to say. Going to move in now, and KYXY going to have to back off a bit. I mean, missile will come out, and Miracle going to go straight after the top banner rune, though they'll leave Nothing to Say to go grab that. Miracle will actually come down bot, pick up the other one. So nothing really pans out here, but it does look like AXH end up getting 3 boundaries, and RR only grab 1.
It's a fair enough start for AXH. That does help out our puck down mid. He should have a fairly decent time anyway. Again, Alacrity's right-click range isn't as big. Level 1 to level 2 of TA is pretty hard, especially against a hero like Puck. It's all down to that positioning. Alacrity's going to have to maximize that quite well to get an edge over Nothing to Say.
Nothing to Say, doing pretty darn well so far. Focusing much more on those deniers than he is on his own last hits, but that is very important up against TA. Doing a very good job of it. Alacrity already copying so much harassment. Doesn't really have much regen on the TA, so we'll have to probably bring some out pretty quick. So that Puck right click is actually quite devastating in terms of damage early on. You look down at bot lane, Hustler though. Gonna go and pull a double creep wave by the looks of it. Winter though is gonna punish quite heavily with his decay. And Hustler actually gonna go through the mid lane now. He's really got to go the long way to try and get himself out of this one. Eats up a tango. Winter is not going to give up the chase. And Hustler should be okay unless you see a loop around from the gyrocopter, but that's highly doubtful. You see Miracle is just farming up. No reason for him to try and go for that gank attempt. And Hustler will successfully pull this double wave.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of EXP going the way of RR. That's a really good move coming out from Hustler. Unfortunately, he can't drag it to his tower. He does drag it right next to KYXY instead. That's still a massive wave that's going to be pushing in. There's another wave coming in as well. So basically a triple wave coming in that could give them about a level or two to play around with here.
Of course, top lane, you look at Luck on that Spectre. Not having as great of a time as Miracle is. Velo on that Timbersaw, not allowing him to get close and get those last hits comfortably. And has gone, of course, into the early levels in Whirling Death. It's just so easy to harass out the Spectre with that ability. Nuts will come in and, of course, help out, but even the Chilling Touch really doesn't do much against the Timber. Like, it's some decent harassment, but if he's got a few reactive armor stacks, it's kind of like he just heals it up pretty quick.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's very hard to harass out this Timbersaw, even if you have some decent magic damage coming out from Nuts. Timbersaw at this point is just way too fast.
Well, Miracle ends up finding the first kill. KYXY ends up going down. I thought he was going away scot-free, but it looks like they do end up finding him. So first blood to the way of AXH. It's a very nice start for the Gyrocopter. It does require that farm so darn quick to be effective. And as it stands, I mean, with a lane like this where he's... Oh, Winter, he just denies himself to the tier 2. Fair enough. I was trying to say, with a lane like this for Miracle, it's kind of like he's just going to get everything he wants. And KYXY, I don't really see him being able to shut down this Gyrocopter.
Nah, it's not a lane that the Sand King can actually do too much of. Considering that his lane partner was also a Spirit Breaker, it really doesn't work out. You just don't have enough stable control to keep him down. You also don't compare to something like the Undying in terms of early laning power. Undying's just way too strong when you clump up, so the best thing to do is split up. They do have Hustler down mid trying to find the gank attempt.
Nothing to say, gonna get charged up and does orb, but won't actually use it. Paulson was already there with the TP. So everything is going to be fine. AXH, they will survive another day in this mid lane. Hustler, he'll back off. Paulson going to wait for that power rune and does end up finding a haste rune for his puck. Only thing is, Nuts is there as well to try and help out if necessary. It looks like Paulson, though, going to try and take advantage of that haste. He'll get the shackles off, but Hustler will charge and cancel straight away. Paulson is going to stick around and try to harass out Hustler and Alacrity. This is not the greatest move, as Nuts is going to come in, and now Paulson, he is going to run with the haste and still gets away. Close call for him. They just didn't have the disable to lock him down. Didn't really get much damage out either, though.
That's a lot of commitment down mid to try and find nothing to say, or at the very least secure the life of Alacrity. In the end, it's pretty worthwhile. You don't lose your mid laner, but you waste a lot of time on your two supports. They're not gaining EXP. This is really going to be costing that Spirit Breaker, especially Hustler. He's in a rough spot, almost the same as Winter, but he's in a much more active hero that wants to get that early EXP for your rotations. He has not had a successful rotation as of yet.
5-minute banner runes. 3 more going to the way of AXH. Velo collecting 2 up at the top lane, and I mean, Nuts was around the area, but just didn't want to contest with the Timber because it's just a bit too difficult. Velo is currently at the top of last hits board as well. Having a great old time at the top lane. Luck has caught up at the very least on the Spectre. It is still a very slow process for him as KYXY going to be in trouble. Winter, nice soul rip, and the zombies are still chasing. Homing missile is going to be there as well. And KYXY understands he is dead.
They're giving way too much to this
Top lane
Gyrocopter right now.
Diving the T1 tower, going after Luck. Does a fair bit of damage. Nuts is there to help out. Velo is forced to back off due to the AA. The presence of the Cold Feet is a little bit scary to be up against for the Timber. He'll just get back to farming.
It is a bit rough right now. Like, your top safe lane Spectre is not finding that free farm you want. The Gyrocopter's getting way too much space. Miracle now level 6.
He could be in trouble again. Paulson gonna move in and has dust available. Only thing is Hustler would not allow him to break the distance. But Miracle doesn't mind. He just flat cannons up, starts putting pressure on that tier 1 tower. Winter will go straight behind the tier 1 and make sure nobody's really standing there waiting for a burrow strike attempt. And Miracle, he is allowed to just continue hitting up on this tier 1 with that siege tree. So Hustler gonna go for a charge. They will find one. Winter does go down, but Miracle, he'll find a trade, and now the call down comes out. Hustler gonna get the hell out of there. He'll be okay, but KYXY may not be. The shackles do come in. He'll still try and run his way away. Paulson falling very low and does get burst striked up. Now the charge as well. Miracle in trouble, trying to run on the gyrocopter. Hustler is going to chase. KYXY doesn't have a stun for another 3 seconds. It's not going to be in range anyway. And Hustler wants to depend on that charge to find his kill. But Paulson comes back and actually sounds up the gyro. Miracle now turns it around with that rocket barrage, and Hustler tries to charge, but that's going to be a dominating spree for the gyro. KYXY, he's trying to get out of there as well. He'll Byron Strike into the trees and just TP out immediately.
That is some beautiful aggression coming out from AXH in response to Reality Rift. They've just been all over this map with the rotations, with the kills so far, 5-3, but a 3K network lead. That's really down to Miracle not only finding these early kills, he's 4-0 at 7 minutes in as a gyrocopter in the safe lane.
It's a pretty good score to have this early on, and well, he was getting charged, but they give up on that charge. Miracle will go back to the fountain, heal himself up, and TP back into the lane. And while that last fight was ongoing, we did also see the Spectre going down. That was actually nothing to say, rotating up to the top lane with Velo and ensuring the Spectre did not catch up in farm anytime soon. And it looks like Luck will actually transition down to the bot lane now, though. By the time Miracle is back, unless Luck leaves the lane and goes to the jungle, this is not any easier of a lane.
Oh, it definitely isn't. Yeah, it's just as hard, although they might find kill up on Velo up top.
It'd be a very nice one at that. Velo gets charged up. Hustler is going to be there. A nice dream call, nothing to say. Stops them in their tracks. Do they try and turn this AXH? They will not. Velo, he's just way too low on HP, but he's thinking about it. He is healing up with those reactive armor stacks. Velo gonna get back to farming. Hustler going for a charge. They're gonna go after nothing to save, but Miracle is around the area. Alacrity gonna be the target. Homing missile coming in. The rocket barrage is going through the refraction charges. They'll take him out, and that's another massive pickup for AXH. And it looks like they have set the tempo of the game their way, and they've got a 4K net worth lead now for the side of the Radiant.
This is exactly what AXH really wants to achieve here. I'm actually super surprised. Miracle has been really active in this map. The tendency for most gyrocopters is to really just farm up, but he understands that with the way Reality Rift's draft goes, they're going to be even more passive. They can really abuse that. You don't nearly have enough on Alacrity just yet for this TA to be a menace, and so you exploit that weakness when RR is not ready to take any sort of fights. Just melt right through them, take more objectives off the map, make it harder for them to farm up. And as you starve this map out, with a TA that's not yet online, you're not going to have space for the Spectre to play catch-up farm as well.
It goes back to nothing to say, just shutting down that TA rather well in the park.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
And with that, they do start pressuring that top tier 2 tower, because Velo can just take tank the tower hits with that reactive armor. That is exactly what he does, allowing his creeps to just push in that lane. And AXH certainly in the driver's seat this game, number 1.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
I mean, you just take a look at the wards on the map. See how many wards on the enemy jungle AXH has. They've just completely taken control of this top jungle. They're farming around it. They're not even going back to any free lane. They're keeping Miracle up here just in case any aggression does come out.
Mid lane, Dream Call does come out, and here's Miracle. Comes in with the rocket barrage, and KYXY cannot survive it. It's one of those things. I mean, the Sandstorm, it's a great way to try and play catch up on the Sand King. The thing is, you can't really afford to just sit there in the mid lane and hope for the best. It's AXH, they are on fire right now. Velo will come in, take some more creeps. In fact, he'll go down to the bot lane where he tries to defend. Luck is there, and now it's going to be massive trouble. They all rotate, they take him out. Hustler trying to make a run for it. Velo may continue the chase and does. Chakram going to be available. Hustler being slowed up. He will have charge available, so he will just charge his way out of there. But they already came for what they wanted. The Spectre dying for the second time this game has absolutely no farm going for her. And if this keeps up, AXH, they look to finish this game very quick as KYXY now going to be chased down by Miracle once again. Does Burrow strike away? Winter is there, and Homing Missile is going to chase, but they'd rather go off the tier 1 tower.
Dire structures.
I don't blame them. Added control on the map. You've again already shut down so many of these enemy heroes. You take a look at that net worth. It's top 3, all to the right-hand side. The only hero close enough is Alacrity. Even then, he's 200 behind the puck. Spectre. This Spectre, luck is way too far behind. 3.2k net worth at 12 minutes in. Not going to be good timings for him.
Well, now the tier 2 tower is on the siege. Serpent wards have been dropped. The Gyro not backing up, and nor is Velo. Alacrity and Hustler looking to find a way into this fight. Velo already has all these reactive armor stacks going for himself, so this is not going to be the greatest team fight to try and take. But RR may not have a choice in this. Serpent wards being taken down by KYXY slowly but surely, and the tower is going to be now in deny range. Meanwhile, further down south, they have rotated through to the mid lane once again. Velo is actually just going to stick around and secure that tower, though now the charge does come in. KYXY going to go with the Burrow Strike, Ice Blast as well flying in. Maybe they turn this. There's a Spectre Ultimate coming through as well. Velo trying his best to turn this around, and now nothing to say. Jumps in, cleans up one, but that'll be it for Velo. Nothing to say. Does he stick around? I mean, it's 3 heroes there. It's definitely not the smartest idea. He will just farm up. A 1-for-1 trade, but RR are going to be very, very satisfied with the Timbersaw kill.
Definitely so. They get a really nice counter kill there. They deny the tower as well. They are still losing map control despite all of that, and they did expend the Haunt for just 1 kill. I guess at this point, you're finding whatever you can get, although they might lose more.
Yeah, KYXY hexed up by Paulson. And it's just great coordination from AXH. As now they look towards that mid-tier 2 tower. Pretty much the whole team here, apart from Miracle, who is just farming the top lane. Velo again, just going to take the front lines for the team. Ensure those creeps don't get close to anywhere close to his. And this is just pretty savage from AXH. Like, they're just taking this surgically.
It's definitely a very clinical performance coming out from these guys. Just shutting down this entire map basically by 15 minutes in, and there's nothing Reality Rift can do. You take a look at their cores, they're not farmed up enough. We are still waiting for Alacrity to finish up that Desolator. Even then, he's still gonna need a Blank Dagger on top of that. You take a look at Luck as well. Nowhere near what he needs. He's not even close to the Yasha yet. He has a Soul Ring, Phase Boots, 1 Great Fan, that's it. He cannot contribute to these fights. And AXH is not going to relent in that aggression. They can push fast with a Shadow Shaman. They can take these fights early with Miracle, who has been super active on map. Nothing to say has done a fantastic job on puck, and he doesn't even have anything else besides Boots of Travels yet.
Just had great influence on this hero. Knows how to play like the back of his hand. Well, now Dreamcore will be there on Alacrity. He does break it with a refraction, so really cops no damage. Just come back in for that bounty. Winter drops the tombstone. They're going to go for the fight. Charge in, will be hexed up. Hustler needs to get out of there. Nothing to say. Doesn't have the coil, but Velo just jumps in. Still KYXY controlling up the puck, and now they do end up getting Winter. Velo is not stopping as Hustler is going to drop to the Chakram, and he's going to go after Alacrity now. Still, they have the Shrine available. Velo wants to continue. Nuts is the target now. KYXY ends up going down to Paulson, and Nuts, well, I don't really see him getting out, though the traps are going to help him out, but a chain forward from Velo. Zombie's still chasing, and Nuts goes down. Alacrity just could not do anything to try and turn that engagement their way.
It was rough. They were fighting under the tombstone for a very long time. Because of the positioning and aggression coming out from AXH, they actually couldn't go up to destroy that tombstone. Alacrity had to pop his meld to get the zombies off. He had a massive board on his back, and they're forced to play defensive.
They try to go after the pulse and down the bot lane, but Horn comes in as well. Shackles is there on Hustler. Velo gonna try and help his support out. It's a bit of a lost cause. Ice Blast Velo, he's going to keep going for this. That is what I'm not sure about. Ice Blast taken. Now Velo is a bit of a sitting duck himself, though. Dreamcore comes out once again from nothing to say. He jumps back in. It's a lot of damage. There's the tombstone being dropped as well. Hustler, he's going to avoid the call down, but Velo is not going to stop the chase. Stun out onto Winter. They find at least the Spirit Breaker. It's going to be a 14-6, 7k net worth lead for AXH. And they don't look to stop anytime soon. Like, you look at Miracle on that gyrocopter. He's got the BKB up now. He's got a 10-second charge. And you know once the gyros have that item up, they are very, very willing to fight.
Definitely. It's really keen on AlphaX hashtag. Again, they have not relented on the aggression so far. They've been consistently in front, consistently playing on that opposite side of the map. In fact, they might find Luke as well.
Yeah, Luke, he's been caught out. Nothing to say. Jumps in with the magic damage, though. He is going to be able to walk away. Perhaps just afraid that he had backup coming in. They'll leave him be. But at the bottom lane, Alacrity, he's been caught out as well. Miracle, once again, with his rocket barrage, just bursting down the refraction of Alacrity. And now the immediate TP, they scan, well, they don't even scan out. The Roshan's there. They're in the Rosh pit. And I suppose, why not? I mean, it's only 17.5 minutes in, but if you're this far ahead, you could just drag out the time, take the Roshan, grab the Aegis, and then really start going for those tier 3 towers.
Definitely, it's going to be a free Rosh here. Reality Rift, they don't have the hop anytime soon, even with the scan out. There's not much they can do. They have the blink up on KYXY. Is that going to be enough?
It could be, but he needs an amazing initiation. Ice Blast going to fly through. Click on Bello now, the epicenter. No, it was just a Burrow Strike. In fact, no, it wasn't epicenter. It just didn't do much damage due to that pipe from Bello. Or the Foot of Defiance it was. AA, Dream called up. It looks like nuts. Doesn't really have a way out of that one. Aegis does go to Miracle on Gyrocopter. 16-6. An amazing performance on the Gyro at 6-0 with 2 assists. How do you stop him now? There's just no items coming out.
They've got to stop focusing on that Timbersaw. Every single fight we've seen from Reality Rift has been targeting Velo, and he's just not the target to go for. He's basically unkillable at this point. You really have to try to catch out Miracle somehow. The issue is, Miracle is usually just farming up and then sticking with his team. He's not in any spot to be vulnerable. You've got to play with luck. You've got to work that haunt somehow, get some wards out a bit further into your own jungle at the very least. Try to spot out these rotations. You know they're farming in your jungle. You have to punish them for that, and we haven't been seeing that too much from RR.
Oh, AXH just gonna stick together, not giving any kind of opportunity away to RR. The only person that is away from the team is Polison, but that's a Shadow Shaman. Even if he does die, it's not too big of a deal as he does have the Serpent Wards on cooldown anyway. Mid lane, they are starting to pressure from AXH, keeping it pushed in constantly, not allowing RR to get off that high ground. And once those Serpent Wards are up, you'd imagine they go for another push attempt. They're just looking so powerful. It's unstoppable right now.
The biggest issue I have with Reality Rift is that they haven't been able to maximize this haunt. That's something we talk about with the Spectre every single time. A lot of teams don't tend to play around those early haunts, which you really have to maximize. The cooldown is absurdly long, and just making sure your Spectre gets a kill every 180 seconds is a massive thing. It's something you have to really keep in mind, but RR has not gotten that space, nor the momentum to really abuse that spell, although they might be able to find Paulson at the very least.
And Polison, gonna be an easy kill. He tries to go for the Hex TP play, doesn't really work out. Polison understands he's just dead. But you look at the rest of his team, already pushing in the mid lane again. Huss is the only one there to defend. They even ping out the bot lane. They won't pressure too much.
Bottom tower is under attack.
And it looks like they may just be waiting for Miracle to go ahead and pick up that full butterfly before they engage any further. And you can't really blame him, because once he's got that butterfly, RR don't have a way to deal with it. Then nobody's going to have an MKB that early on. Well, it looks like KYXY will also end up going down up at the top lane. Velo is there with the puck, though Alacrity ends up finding Winter on the Undying. But it's certainly a more positive trade here for RR. Or I should say for AXH, just with that Sand King. Still, RR just need anything they can get.
definitely. It's looking pretty rough for Reality Rift. Every single trade you make is at the cost of core, and that just means you're not making as many gains as you'd want. We are still looking at a pretty big deficit. 10k at 21 minutes in, it's nothing to scoff at. You look at Alacrity's net worth, he's hanging right below the puck, around 200 gold. A decent enough spot to be in considering that start. The biggest issue is that your Spectre is a full 4k behind the Gyrocopter. That's one massive item behind that Luke is. And he is just not effective without these items up, especially up against Miracle right now. He has the Aegis still up, they're going to be forcing in that tier 3 now.
Bello. Burrow strikes up, Alacrity jumps in, Ice Blast, not going to connect with Bello, the passive is placed, they can't heal him up, they're going to go for the fight though. Miracle, he jumps in, takes down one, now Aegis has been lost, the TA actually doing work, the Haunted from Luck, they could turn this, they take down Winter as well, Miracle all by himself, the epicenter is there, and AXH. I suppose that's why they were waiting in the first place. Molson gonna get caught out, and then it is gonna be a full team wipe coming out. It's AXH. They looked so darn good earlier on. RR shows them that this game is nowhere near over.
They fed a lot of gold to the way of RR there. That's just so much gain from that one fight. You see Alacrity's now ahead of the puck. You see the Spectre's now ahead of the Timbersaw. And all of these situations are bad news for AXH. This means that they're slowly giving back way too much to RR. They are starting to find that damage up. You really have to be conscious about that. That was a pretty reckless uphill push, all things considered. They just had Miracle up front along with Velo, and your Gyrocopter's really big. I don't reckon he's big enough to really stand right next to your Timbersaw causing all that damage. At least not until maybe the Satanic comes out, which Miracle is farming up now.
AXH smoked up. They want to go straight back in. Miracle has the butterfly available. Nice stream call comes out. They caught Hustler. They'll also find Nuts. So Nuts going to be the first one down. Hustler still in trouble though. KYXY with a great burrow strike, and now they want to turn around Alacrity after that gyro. Take him out. He's the main source of damage. So they'll go after Paulson as well. Miracle about to drop and does end up going down. Bello finds some decent trades, but he is now sitting duck to Alacrity on that TA. He will chain away. KYXY, burrow strike going to be available very, very soon, and they will be able to find it surely. Bello still being held up though by Winter with that Soul Rip, and they are going to try and turn. He'll find another. KYXY is now down. And so an actual positive trade for AXH, even though it's still going. Alacrity does not manage to find Bello, but they are showing signs of life in this game.
You have enough tools in Alacrity and Luke to take these fights now. The biggest issue for AXH is the fact that Velo is tapering off hard. He's not as tanky as he was before. It's really down to the timings of Timbersaw. This is around the time he tends to taper off. And Velo needs to start to play a bit more conservatively, or at the very least, play with his teammates in mind. He can't find these solo pickoffs anymore. He needs backup every time he's going to go in. It's time to let Nothing to Say take more of the farm on the map, along with Miracle. You should see Velo take a step back in terms of farm priority now. For Reality Rift, we are starting to see them build up. Alacrity should be inching closer towards his Blink Dagger, and that is going to allow him to take these big chases down, close in on the puck, close in on the Timbersaw every single time he wants. Luck working towards that Diffusal Blade just to increase his damage output, and that's going to be a pretty big boon for RR. The next item to watch out for from Alpha X hashtag is going to be that Satanic. When Miracle gets that item up, he can stand and fight much more comfortably, as long as he's not ice blasted up. If he is, it's going to be a rough time for him to stand there in the front lines. He has to really reconsider his positioning in these fights.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Luck starting to really itemize now on the Spectre. Has the mantra up, going into the Diffusal next. Things are getting scarier and scarier for this already inside. DOTA Plus, I mean, they were above 75% for the side of AXH. Now, more looking around that 55% mark, so Reality Rift are bringing it back. They'll grab a T1 bot tower as well to boot. AXH got to make a decision. Are you pushing in this mid lane? They want to force the waves in, but it's not really leading to any objectives here for the Radiant side. And Reality Rift seem to understand this. They're just not bothering trying to defend that anymore. They leave one hero behind, and they'll just keep pushing out the bot lane.
It's a pretty good move from RR, just trying to maximize that space. They understand Alpha X hashtag actually can't do too much on their tier 3s right now as well. Team fights have been a bit too wonky. They're not going to be too confident going back up. It looks like the next timing beyond the items coming out is going to be that rush. Of course, it's going to be pretty late respawn. We still have 1.5 minutes left until that objective is back up.
I'm gonna go for a fight here though, RR. Not the greatest position. They rush in Hustler. Got immediately hexed up, but we'll be able to get out of there. Alacrity. It's gonna be alright as well. The orb did not scout him out. RR, do they have a smoke? They do. Do they want to pursue? It does not look like it. And there's just no need to for the side of RR. You just keep dragging out this game, build on your Spectre and TA, and eventually it does seem like they will be able to just push this game back their way. But they are going to try and apply some more pressure. Velo is going to break the smoke. Burrow Strike is there. Now Ice Blast as well. Going to be pretty darn perfect. Nuts flying straight through. But Velo is going down. And suddenly, this Timbersaw not looking anywhere near as tanky. It's just this Ice Blast over and over again. Being able to essentially delete the reactive armor.
It's rough, right? You've lost the effectivity on this Timbersaw. You're still not too farmed up on everyone else, at the very least outside of Miracle. The farm distribution isn't as tight. It really is riding on the back of this Gyrocopter now. He is just one part away from that Satanic. Just about, I'd say 2,300 gold away, which is still a fair bit to farm. You're gonna have to still buy some space from Miracle to get that item up. But while you do that, of course, RR builds up. I believe Luck does have his Diffusal Blade up now, so his damage output is excellent. And the BKB has been up on Alacrity for a bit now, down to that 8-second charge, but that will allow him to stand and fight much better. Now the Roshan is up. XH is going to be trying to take that out, but it's going to be hard. We saw him last time with KYXY blinking in. He's much stronger this time to try to force that out.
He certainly is. I'm surprised AXH is trying to force this issue, but I suppose it's a little too long. Velo, Epicenter, Burrow Strike, KYXY. What a setup! Miracle is gone. Velo's almost gone as well, and yeah, he goes down. And the Roshan going to be easy pickings for the Dire side. KYXY with the initiation. Just perfect from him. In fact, he finds another in the form of Winter. The Flesh Golem not really going to help his cause too much, as Luck is there. Though Decays maybe will. He is getting a lot tankier. Banneroon is there as well. Won't really matter. Luck will go ahead and finish the job off. 3 for the price of 1. That is essentially exactly what RR wants. They get the Aegis, they get the cheese, and now they are definitely in the driver's seat.
Really is, and not only does Alpha X hashtag moves out in the Roche, she also lost her courier somehow in the middle of that fight, so burying the items is not going to be possible for them. And you're stuck in a rough spot now. You've given up a lot of early momentum for this late game, although Alacrity...
Yeah, gets on the TA. He's gone. Horn in. Luck, he wants to fight. Collison will just potentially get a Crimson Guard and walk away. And Luck, he's been dream called up. He can't break that right now. Hustler? Velo just melts him with the Whirling Death. And they're going to try for more. Nothing to say. Looking after KYXY. Homing Missile will be there to follow, and nothing to say is not giving up on this.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
Burrow Strike dodge attempt was not successful, and nothing to say. Well, he doesn't really have a way to lock him down, as Ice Blast will come in. KYXY will be able to survive. RR, though, may end up losing a tower at this rate, as AXH aren't trying to push these T3s in. course, at least force a buyback from the Dire's side. Serpent Ward's being dropped. They've got a buyback now if they wish to defend this Rax. Unless they have this much confidence in their Spectre to do it himself, but I don't think Luck has that much damage. Recall comes out, nothing to say, getting this started. They're going after KYXY first, and they burst him down. Now Luck, falling rather low, has Aegis, but he will lose his first life. Fellow cops the ice blocks. KYXY, he'll continue moving forward. Can they deal the damage to a Miracle? He'll be the target, though they're not dealing enough yet. He may just turn this. Hustler, he's falling low as well. Polison, he TP's out. Now the Gyro's in trouble. As they leave him alone, they'll leave Winter there as well.
Dire's bottom barracks.
They got the melee barracks, they lost their position 1 and their support Undying. AXH, are they happy about that, John?
I'd say they are. They managed to, at the very least, take some pretty big objectives they've been struggling to for a while. They take away that Aegis as well on Luck, and they managed to maximize that moment where they know the Haunt's not there. They know the fight from Reality Rift wouldn't be as big, and they managed to find what they want. I think the next thing they'll want to do is really to start clearing out those other lanes. Range racks are not going to be priority. Perhaps clear out the shrines as well. Really keep that jungle under lock and key, which they have been doing for the entire game. They still need to finish up that Satanic on Miracle. He really needs that lifesteal on himself. Once he has that up, he's going to be very confident in these fights. I'd say if you had someone who could build a Silver Edge as well, you're going to be pretty happy, but so far no one is gearing towards that, just to break the Spectre up.
Okay, B. Now we'll be up for Alacrity. So that Butterfly won't be so much of an issue that Miracle has picked up a while ago. So Satanic may be a new issue to deal with. So this is going to make the Gyrocopter a lot harder to kill with that Flat Cannon and Satanic combination. Alacrity moving forward through that mid lane. It looks like they want to try and find somebody to pick up. Nobody's really sitting there solo though. Again, the aim of the game here for RR, buy as much time for Luck as you can.
Dire's top shrine.
He's going for an MKB of his own, and they understand the priority in these team fights. If the Gyrocopter's dead, the damage is gone. So just get rid of him as soon as possible, and suddenly the team fights become a hell of a lot easier for RR.
It really does, but you are also giving a lot of time to AXH to farm up. The biggest thing beyond your Gyrocopter is that nothing to say has a power spike coming back to him. Once he hits his 25, gets the GPM talent, he will finish up a Dagon 5 really quick, and that melts heroes. You cannot underestimate the damage output of Puck. When he gets that item back up, it gives him a second life. And we already see Miracle, he's finished up his Satanic, so he's much harder to kill off if he can press his button. You know, if he's not disabled and stun locked the entire time, without that Ice Blast on, Miracle is going to be very confident in these fights.
Banner runes will come up. RR, they do get both banner runes. AXH. Well, they'll leave them behind for now. Miracle will pick up one. Top lane.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Side of AXH are heading towards it.
Is under attack.
They have those Serpent Wards available. Colson wants to get them on cooldown ASAP. AXH, Velo, he went the front lines, and there's those Serpent Wards being dropped. Reality Rift, they can't really afford to lose another lane of Raxus early on. Luck gonna move in. Velo, a hard target to go for, but they'll try to clear out those Serpent Wards first. And AXH, they won't take any risks. They will back off, perhaps find a straggler on the way home, but nobody's going to be around. So they'll just get back to farming up.
It's the safe play for both teams here. Neither side really wanting to risk it. We're at that point where it kind of evens out. Either side can really snowball out control with one big fight. They might find out.
Yeah, they certainly have. A nice Lotus Orb usage. Ice Blast completely whipped from Nuts. The The chain away from Velo. Still Nether Strike will connect, and it looks like Velo does go down there to the Dream Core. He catches 4. Can they turn this? The call down coming in as well. The Dream Core being broken by the TA Miracle. Gonna go straight in the middle with that BKB. Deal as much damage as you can, but the deal is way back to him. He pops the Satanic. Now the every environment like KYXY turns it again. They'll find Winter. Velo, he fought back. He's back into this. Do they even bother trying to go for him? They will not. A 3-for-1 trade. RR going to be very happy about that. In fact, make it even more. Paulson going for the TP play. Ice Blast not going to make it in time. Well, no need to point that out. Thank you for the user. He was hexed up. He couldn't use it in time, to be fair. So there's that. So don't blame the Sankey for that. Paulson did actually play that very well.
Well, AlphaX hashtag, even with that Satanic and Miracle, at this point it's a struggle. I'm not sure if he had Flat Cannon on earlier before the Satanic. I think he did. He popped the Flat Cannon on first, and then when he was in trouble, popped the Satanic without the Flak. It's not enough. And you have to consider the fact that he doesn't have the Agnes as well, so he doesn't have that side gunner just giving him free lifesteal every second or so. It's not enough to sustain him just yet. You really have to be on point with your flak usage with a Satanic. That's how you sustain as the Gyrocopter in this case. But unfortunately, it doesn't work out there. Really big props to Reality Rift. They're finding every single fight at this point. They're really maximizing this late game potential they have.
Winter gets caught out. I mean, it looks like he was going on a bit of a warding mission. Hustler will take complete advantage though. So Reality Rift will just continue holding on to this game for now. A lot of items coming up. They're looking pretty darn powerful. Looking over to Luck. Not sure what he's going to go for next. He got a butterfly of his own now. Ended up avoiding the MKB himself. And now the TA even having a butterfly up. I don't know about this AXH. I mean, I don't feel like they're really as far ahead as they should be now. And although nothing to say, you already talked about the level 25 talent and how he is going to escalate with that Dagon 5. Is it going to be enough?
There are a lot of things that have to happen for AXH to really take control back. Not only the Ags come out, not only the Dagon coming out in this puck, perhaps nothing to say gifting Miracle on Ags along with a Moonshard might really help. Honestly, you're really just putting all your eggs into one basket. Miracle's not nearly big enough to man fight against the spec, and Look still has a lot of room to grow. You know, the Heart's not coming out yet. The level 24 talent's there, but he's just about to hit 25, and that's going to be another huge amount of damage coming out from him. He does go for that dispersion talent, so that's so much more coming out from every single point of HP he has that you really have a hard time sustaining now as Alpha X. You're going to have to be very cognizant of the positioning of that Spectre and somehow find a way to take care of that hero before it costs you too much in a team fight.
Well, nothing to say. He's like one creep away from 25. He's held on to that for so long. I mean, he's been waiting around the Roche pit. To be fair, just with the team waiting in case RR goes for that Roshan effect. Just give him a creep, let him get that level 25 talent, and he does finally find it. Of course, we'll go straight for the gold per minute talent. But he is almost maxed out with the Dagon anyway, and I kind of wonder what he goes for after that. Like, do you just expect a refresher orb so you can have the double Dream Core coming out?
That's one way. It does work out quite nicely in the middle of those team fights, going through that BKB after the pop. Beyond that, again, it's time to really just put all your eggs in one basket right off the back of Miracle. Perhaps gift Ags to some other heroes as well. Not sure if you'd really want it on Winter, but it does give the Undying a second life at that point. There's really not too much you can go with the puck, unless you give that gem to someone else and start playing with your treads. Oh,
Haunted Winter, first target will be achieved. They will find Velo. Can they burst him down on the timber? They're going to try and turn this Winter. He brought back straight away. They don't want any more of this. KYXY will run out as well. Nobody really left over. I mean, Nuts is still around the area, but he's just kind of hanging out. They are going to go after him on the AA. They may turn again, RR. But no, they opt not to. Epicenter available for KYXY if he wants to try and go in for that initiation. AXH being very cautious. RR showing some confidence. There's the Dagon coming up from nothing to say. Now a counter smoke from AXH. How do they initiate this team fight though? Nothing to say. 7 seconds away from that dream coil. RR, they will not play around any longer. They're just going to back off the safety. Only thing is, they really don't really have a choice as the Roshan is up, and now AXH will go straight into the pit, drop the Serpent Wards, and we'll see how fast this Diaside can react to this. They are moving their way in. Charge is there. It is going to connect on Miracle, and now from that, a lot more on the Diaside. He's going to not move much through the BKB. The Aegis goes down. Lock picks it up, so the side of AXH will lose the Aegis. And now RR look to capitalize as best they can. Bello is going to be the target. Burrow Strike connects from KYXY, and Bello is dead. Is there anyone left over? AXH, they went back into the Roche pit, probably checking if there was a cheese available. Hustler, Olsen's going to go for the TP. Nether Strike will not make it in time. They found Winter anyway, and that's going to be a dieback on that support Undying. And speaking of, there is actually no buybacks available in any of the heroes that went down for the side of AXH.
That is massive for the side of RR. That does allow them to get a bit of a push going for themselves. They do have to leave at least one hero behind to take care of this bot lane, but if they understand the buybacks aren't there, they should be able to get something done. Unfortunately, they do pull back quite hard. They're not going to be able to maximize that downtime with the lack of buybacks, but they should at least be able to get maybe a tier 2 down. This is the one issue for RR, is that the map for AXH is still pretty healthy. Every single one of their tier 2s are still up. So a big team fight win like that doesn't necessarily translate to massive gains in the high ground.
Luck is still going to try on the Spectre. He wants that mid-tier 2 tower. And it was really unfortunate the creep waves just weren't in their favor when they did win that team fight.
Radiant's middle tower.
Still, he will get started on the tier 2 now. I don't really see any defense coming out for AXH. They'll probably just allow it to go down. We are 44 minutes in after all.
Radiant's middle
Luck does pick it up. Does he keep going? No, they will go down to the bot lane where there is still another tier 2 tower to take. Lackery is there with the Desolator anyway, and this will be a much quicker tier 2 tower being taken.
It's just slowly being dismantled here for AXH. You see the net worth advantage onto Reality Rift now. You take a look at Dota Plus, it is a bigger chance for RR now. Definitely in their way, 69%. Quite nice for RR, 31% for the way of AXH. And you're stuck at the point where the scalability of your heroes on AXH's side is just put into question. The biggest heroes that do stop scaling here is that Timbersaw and the Undying. This is an issue we talk about quite a lot when Undying really tapers off past a certain point. And the Timbersaw as well. Even if you itemize now, there's just so much you can get done with his hero. His damage output is mitigated. His durability is definitely mitigated at this point. The Undying, his presence with the Decay is not as great anymore, unless you invest in something like the Ags. Even then, that's not something Undyings can naturally afford. The Tombstone melts pretty fast until you hit your level 20 talent, but as a support, Winter is not prioritized for that EXP. So you've run into this issue where the power spikes aren't there for AXH. The only heroes you have relatively strong is still Miracle and Nothing to Say. These are the only two guys who can still dish out the damage and stand in front and somewhat fight. Even then, you can't expect them to do as much as a TA and a Spectre at 45 minutes in.
Well, you certainly can't. It's just a real shame, like that level 20 talent that Winter's waiting on, the double Tombstone drop, just isn't going to be there.
Radiant's top
Like, he may not even get to that point before this game ends at this rate. Very hard when you've got all these cores so greedy for XP. Winter can't really find an opening to get some XP himself. And every time he gets to a lane, it's already cleared out before he gets in XP range. And so he just continues walking across the map, trying to find another lane where there are some creeps.
It's just rough. You really need this Undying to start getting that level 20 up, at the very least for either talent. The double tombstone when you die is pretty nice, but attacks is also decent. It really depends on what you want. I think with the way the game's going, Winter should look for that tombstone on death. I think it's something he has to come to terms with. That comes for us all, Mike, and for Winter it does come pretty fast.
Yeah, certainly does. Meanwhile, Miracle did end up finding the Aghanim Scepter on the gyro. So some more damage coming out from him. He's got the side gunner up. I don't think it'll bother RR too much as they just look way better right now. Especially looking at the TA Alacrity, top of the net worth board. Just an absolute powerhouse. It does seem like he is going to go into the Bloodthorn next. That does make things even more complicated for this Radiant side. But of course, they can still pull it off from AXH. I mean, they're 1 racks ahead. Now, we're talking as if they're losing the game. They're not. But they are 9k net worth behind, and the momentum is certainly not really swinging their way anymore. I mean, one good team fight could set it up for them. Perhaps they go for a smoke. As Winter is holding 2 in the backpack. RR, they've already decided they will go for a smoke and almost expecting the side of AXH to run down the hill looking for themselves. Will they? Oh, AXH, they are running towards RR. Alacrity, well, KYXY, he'll get started with the burn straight on top of that Shaman Paulson. He's going to BKB up. Now the Horn comes in. They want the Shaman first, but the wards have been dropped, and now the Dream Call as well. It's bloody perfect. The Nether Strike is there. Paulson, he's falling away, but doesn't matter. It does. Although cooldown comes out, the Gyro wants to turn this around the best he can, but KYXY stuns him up again. Miracle ends up dropping. Velo trying to fight by himself, but he's a Timbersaw. Can he do it? Luck about to drop, and does. The Whirling Death gets the job done. Winter somehow still alive throughout all this. Nothing to say, jumps in, uses up the AA. We'll be able to find that as well. And so a very even sort of team fight coming out. It was a 4-for-3 trade, still working out in the favor of RR, but AXH, they managed to hold on.
They definitely do. The big thing was that they lost Miracle once again. It's his item usage. I think in that specific situation, I was watching him very closely. His item usage is not ideal, and he has been forced to pop his BKB preemptively. The moment he turns around with his Satanic still up, he doesn't have that BKB, so he can't pop the Satanic. His Flat Cannon's on cooldown as well.
Bello. It's charged up. Nether Strike is available. They will not commit. Looked like it was going to be a very easy pickoff onto Velo, but perhaps just the threat of Nothing to Say perhaps being behind him at the time was what RR was scared about.
They lost their courier from that. That was a massive loss in the courier. I believe that was a soul booster in its completion, so someone's missing out on a pretty big item you delivered out, and that is costly for Reality Rift. Every single advantage they can secure for themselves really has to count. Oh, Nothing to Say, that's pretty ballsy.
It is. Nothing to Say. Also picking up the Ethereal Blade now. There's just a casual gem laying on the deck in the river. Nobody cares for this gem. Just leave it be. So RR, 5k net worth lead remains for them. Though look at that win probability, John. 48%, 52%. I mean, this is just such an even game between these two teams. And I mean, every team fight, you have no idea who's going to pull it off. Because one time you see the Timbersaw just destroying everybody with Whirling Death. And don't forget, he's got the level 25 talent. So he does have the plus 12% Whirling Death attribute reduction. But other times, you just see Alacrity just jump in and rip people apart. It's just hard to know or predict who's going to win these team fights anymore.
It's really down to how everyone backs up their cores. As mentioned from the draft, surprisingly, Miracle and Luck are still pretty close in terms of raw power. These heroes don't really outscale each other too hard, depending on the circumstance. In a vacuum, I think I'd say it's slightly even, maybe favoring the Spectre just a bit more, but you have to consider Gyrocopter and his AoE damage is potentially greater with Flak compared to Dispersion. But it's really down to how the rest of the team executes. When KYXY gets the stun lock onto Miracle, he cannot do anything. He's forced to BKB at the start of fights. It's a 5-second BKB. Everyone else just waits that out, they drop him low, and then he turns on to Satanic, but he's already used up his Flak, or he's about to use his Satanic, his Flak's on cooldown, his BKB is off, he's just stun locked to death. It's down to how you pounce on these cores. And for the most part, Miracle has been getting the short end of it due to RR's consistent focus on that Gyrocopter. They've understood for the past nearly 20 minutes that the target to go for is always Miracle. It always has been, and it has been finally paying off. But you are starting to see again Signs of Life coming out. Nothing to say. Looking quite strong now with his E-Blade Dagon 5. The stat reduction coming out from Velo is making him have a second life of sorts as well. So these heroes are something you have to keep in mind now as you take these fights.
Both teams in a bit of a stalemate, waiting perhaps for that next Roshan, which is available, and it will be scouted out first by Alacrity on the side of Reality Rift. AXH can of course just walk in, they're already on the uphill waiting to see if RR try to go for it. In fact, they go for a smoke. This could be massive. If they pick up this team fight, they go straight for the Roshan, pick up the Aegis Cheese and move on from there. They've got to get a decent initiation though. They will actually back off for a bit. If they don't find the position they want. Again, RR, they don't mind dragging this up. They've still got items popping up on themselves. KYXY almost at his own Octarine core now. AXH pretty much do the same thing. They're just not in a rush. Miracle still has plenty of items he's queued up to pick up for himself. He will be getting rid of that Aghanim Scepter. Essentially just find the upgrade and making it a passive ability. Velo will get started on the Roshan by himself, but he's a Timbersaw. The Roshan is literally out regenerating his attack. From behind, they jump in as well. KYXY straight up the Polison. There goes the Shaman. Can they get any more of those? Miracle BKB's up with the Black Cannon. It's a lot of damage coming out. Dream Call as well with the epicenter. Burrow strike from KYXY. Just controlling up this Gyrocopter. Now they find Velo as well. Can they get Winter? They certainly can. Nothing to say, everyone just buying back, trying to punish. But it looks like RR will be able to run their way out. Zombies still chasing, but they can only chase for so long. And Reality Rift just creeping up from behind, making the plays happen. Forcing out those buybacks, and now the Roshan. It's going to be a risky attempt if AXH try to go for another fight in this pit. Reality Rift, I wonder if they do force the fight.
I mean, they certainly can. They've got the driver's seat here. They forced 4 buybacks out. I look at Miracle once again, Mike. I don't know what to say. I really don't want to be picking the guy, but the Satanic, it's been passive. It's been passive every single time. He turns on the Flak, turns on the BKB, doesn't turn on the Satanic. He doesn't wait until he's low. He's not playing with any sort of second life in mind. And when the stun locks come out after the paltry 5-second BKB, he's just gone. It's rough to watch this from Miracle after that amazing start, but RR has had the right game plan in mind for a long time now. They are going to be trying to posture around Roche. In fact, they're going to try to find the diebacks.
Yeah, Alacrity jumps straight in. Winter, Glimmer capes up. He understands he may just be dead here. The Glimmer will wear off. Winter drops the tombstone preemptively. Too late though, it is gone. Double Miracle getting caught out. BKB's up. Satanic, he has not popped it yet. He'll make a run for it, but Alacrity is not giving up this chase. And they oh my. Well, you weren't lying, John.
I mean, he had the Ice Blast there, that I can understand, but oh man, this is This is just
It's
looking
rough.
really bad for AXH. They're going to lose at least one set of racks, if not just straight up their tier 4s. They understand those were 2 diebacks. You're going to have to see some really big plays come out from Nothing to Say to hold us off.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
Purple wants to drop Alacrity, forcing the BKB from Polison. At least 1 racks to be taken though. Definitely more to come, or that maybe just go straight for the tier 4s. No buyback on the gyro, why the hell not? They can't really defend without him. Nothing to Say is going to try his best on the puck, but they may catch him out as well. He makes a run for it, Nether Strike will not connect Alacrity, actually going to continue the chase. Now this I'm not 100% sure about. They back off to defend, which is fair. Velo was split pushing, but that was a Timbersaw split pushing. Tier 4s were exposed. Gyrocopter's still down for another minute. I don't know if they should have backed off like that.
No. Honest to God, no. They had an opening there. They will transition to the Roche to secure the next fight, I suppose. I mean, by the time that Gyrocopter respawns, he's not going to have buyback anyway. So you're still going to have a massive advantage if you clear out Miracle. And you have cleared out Miracle for the past half an hour quite well. There's a lot of items on the deck. Who are you going to give all of these to? Refresh is still on. Everything's on luck right now.
Yeah.
He does synthesize that Ags for himself, so he does have that Shadow Step up.
Well, he's going in. Finds something to say. Nether Strike will lock him down, and they burst the puck down as well. He does have buyback on the puck, so that's a positive. But things are looking very, very rough for this Radiant side. And RR will slowly start sieging away at that top tier 2 tower. I don't believe there'll be any sort of defense attempt coming out from AXH for this tier 2. They'll wait out the tier 3.
Radiant's top tower has fallen. Radiant's top shrine is under attack. Radiant's top shrine has fallen.
They go for high ground. They have the Aegis on lock. They certainly feel like they can. You've still got to watch out for Vela though. He does so much damage to this spec. Nether Strike will not connect. Lincoln's has been broken thanks to that Nether Strike. But they do manage to find the tier 3. Stun will be there. Actually, quite low. So wants to surround the Spectre, but they jump in KYXY with the Burner Strike. They are going after Pulse, but he BKB's up. Winter moving on to the front lines. Luck, he's been left behind. He'll lose the Aegis. Now they lose another and Nuts on the AA. They're going for more. Find the Sankey on KYXY. Make sure he can't reinitiate Luck. BKBs and runs out of there. Fellow, does he keep chasing? He does not. But they do manage to defend quite confidently as well. I mean, it didn't look very hard for them. They just catch the Spectre off guard in an off position, and suddenly it's just easy pickings.
That's what we've been looking for from AXH this entire time. That focus on one target, the proper item usage, having Miracle come in at the right time, standing in the right spot. They still have the power to take these fights if they can pull it off on their own terms. The issue is they haven't had that opportunity for a while, but we see what can happen when they get the fights on their own terms. They still have the power in them. Their heroes are still quite good. Off the back of Miracle, off the back of Nothing to Say, who did have to buy back there. So he's not going to have buyback, but you might be able to buy enough time to at least get Miracle's buyback online, although it looks like the smoke attempt isn't going to be successful for AXH.
It won't be, but I think they'll just be happy with the fact that they're still in this game. As you know, 5 minutes ago, John, they were knocking on their tier 4s. It looked like it was over. Suddenly, AXH still remain. Miracle will end up finding a double damage rune and bottles it up. That's going to be very, very effective for that next engagement they get into. Reality Rift may just be kicking themselves right now over not just going straight through.
Radiant's bottom shrine is under attack.
The bot shrine will be taken out by RR. They'll clear it up.
Radiant's bottom shrine has fallen.
Velo ensuring that top lane remains pushed out. See a heart coming out from KYXY, so he's become a hell of a lot tankier much harder to deal with on that Sand King, but he also has that reset potential because a lot of these team fights, he's forced to jump in and then jump back out. The problem is he doesn't have any way to heal up that HP very quickly. But with that heart, he just stays out of the fight for a few seconds. Suddenly you've got to deal with this Sand King all over again.
Yeah, I like the pickup coming out from KYXY. It does allow him to reset on the fly. Hell, he doesn't even need to leave the fight. If his position is right, he could just stand storm up and just be healing up in the middle of a fight. It does give him a lot more to play with. And again, we are just slowly building up here on both sides. It does slow down a bit, right? Neither side is going to be taking that risk. They're going to be waiting for stuff to be back. AXH is going to be waiting on buybacks to be online for Miracle and everyone else. Although looks like he is still far away in terms of gold. Still needs about 1.4k gold on top of the cooldown. Another smoke coming out for AXH though.
Could be massive. Pressure Orb is available and Nothing to Say. He has the double Dream Core. He could make something massive happen for the team.
Dire are scanning.
Hustler, gonna spot them out. He breaks the smoke. Now the Horde comes in. They want to go for this fight. Straight onto that Shaman Paulson. He's the target. They jump in with the TA as well. They'll burst him down. Winter, he's just sitting duck now as well. But no, they jump out once again with that Treasure Shard. Straight onto Miracle. Get rid of that Gyrocopter. Straight off the bat. That's all your damage gone. And yeah, he's gone. Velo needs to get out. Burrow Strike perfect from KYXY. That'll set up another side, well, the side step or whatever it's called, the shadow step onto Velo. Can he get himself out of this one?
Oh.
He does TP out. Alacrity is in the base right now going after Nothing to Say and just takes him out as well. And with this, again, no buybacks available on most of the cores. AXH getting their T4s taken down. Winter does buy back on the Undying. That will help out a little bit. They'll just wait out the creeps for the side of RR to come into the base. Shadow Step going to be available in another 10 seconds as well if they want to really jump. Velo, they're going to go for that top racks though.
Radiant's top barracks has fallen.
They've got to hold out for 40 seconds if they want to have any chance of turning this around. They need Miracle back up. Looks like RR is just going to be slowly dismantling the space. Not quite comfy with ending it outright yet. Respecting the power in AXH's side.
They have no buyback though. Perhaps they don't realize that, but...
They don't realize the gold.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
I mean, it's a 34k net worth advantage. Still, Mega Creeps are down. KYXY looking for an attempt there at Velo. Now the T4s are the target, so they realize they can try to get at least 1 or 2 T4 down. Miracle will be back up on the gyro though. They're going to push forward. Velo, he'll be on the front lines. Paulson, he'll jump in with the Hex straight on the TA. Hustler though with the charge. Chain through from Velo. Now the strike will connect on Velo. Miracle, a lot of damage with the flat cannon, but it's not going to be enough quite yet. They'll try and turn this, but it looks pretty darn bad to the side of AXH. Alacrity dealing so much damage. They take down the gyro again. He has no buyback available. Winter, he's being charged up. Luck is still going on the Spectre. He's just not afraid of anything right now, although maybe those circle wards could be quite painful. Now they find KYXY on the Sand King. They'll take him down. Alacrity jumps back in with the BKB nuts. Nice size plus. Connects on 2. They'll find Winter as well as Velo. Velo buys back. Winter reincarnates. Burrow Strike is there on the Shaman. Paulson doesn't want to drop again, but the Sandstorm damage is quite large. Dream Call now is welcome, Nothing to Say, but it's not going to do enough by the looks of it. Winter, he's been slowed down so much by that Sandstorm. They'll Burrow Strike him up, hold him down. Alacrity, he'll take him out. The throne still exposes. Hustler charges back in with the Dagon from Nothing to Say is rather dangerous. Alacrity, he doesn't think so. The side blaze just ripping them apart. And that'll be it. The GG call has been made 65 minutes into this game. RR, first win of the close qualifiers up against Alpha X hashtag. And that is the first game of this best of 2 as well, John. We still have a second game to go between these two.